Hello and welcome to FPS Coach. My name is Rambo Kim, and in this video I'm going to talk about should I place my fingertips on the mouse pad or not. So what I mean by that is when you grip the mouse, there's a lot of pro gamers that like to have just a little bit amount of their fingertip ever so lightly grazing the mouse. Some people like only their pinky on there with their thumb lifted up. Some people like both. And then players that use kind of like the 3-finger grip, they like to have their pinky, ring finger, and thumb touching the mouse pad. So what are some of the advantages of this? Well, one of the advantage is that it allows you to keep an even amount of pressure on the mouse or on the mouse pad. So what I mean by that is if I have my thumb and pinky touching the mouse pad, if they're both equally touching and grazing the mouse pad with like the same amount of downforce, then you know you don't have an imbalance in your grip. So for example, if I grip the mouse and then my left thumb is pressing a lot more heavy into the mouse pad compared to my right pinky, well then you might have a little bit more kind of weight shift leaning on that side. Now that isn't necessarily a bad thing, but for me personally, I do like to have my pinky and thumb touching the pad. So the way I can consistently grip my mouse is by using that feel, that grazing, and knowing that if both my pinky and thumb are touching with the same pressure, then my mouse grip is generally in a good place for me. Another advantage, which I heard from Huddled, the owner, and I believe he's the founder of Yuki Aim, and Yuki Aim's like a very popular kind of aim community, and they have some of like the world record aim holders. I heard him say in a broadcast that an advantage of having these fingertips is that you can actually use them as kind of like a brake or something that keeps you locked onto the mouse pad. So what I mean by kind of locked into the pad is if you're making these little micro motions, say you have to aim at a very, very small target long way away, well, you can actually kind of press into the pad with your thumb and pinky just a little bit, and it kind of provides this little braking system or something that keeps it in place, right? On the flip side, if my thumb and pinky are super lightly grazing the pad, well, the mouse is going to move easier because there's less friction. But if I kind of push that extra bit of down pressure down, it allows the mouse to just move in this small micro motion area. So it's not going to be like slipping or sliding somewhere out because I've got this brake in place. I've also seen pro gamers extend their pinky and ring finger out. So for example, it'll look something like this. So this might be an exaggeration. I mean, I've seen one pro gamer do something like this. So they, lock and extend their pinky out like this. And that kind of is their comfort field. They like that feeling, right? So I have this pen here, and I couldn't think of a better analogy, but if I'm writing and I don't have any of my hand on the mouse pad, and say if I'm drawing here, well, there's no friction because there's no hand or finger rubbing on the pad. So it gives me this like float feeling, a free glide. Whereas if I have my hand on the mouse pad, it adds like a brake or something that keeps it solid in place, right? So now I can kind of move the pen around and I know it's not going to slip around. Whereas here, it can get a little loose and airy. So there's advantages and disadvantages of those. Obviously if I have my pinky and thumb off the pad, I don't have to worry about rubbing or if my hands are sweating or whatnot. So at the end of the day, it is personal feel or personal preference, and it's up to your feel to realize or figure out, how much down pressure and how much rubbing or grazing there is on the mouse pad. The last thing I want to end with is kind of an over exaggeration of this, but I do know a famous sniper who used to play like this, and he had some of the best aim. And I don't know if all 5 of his fingers were touching the mouse pad, but he did like to overlap his mouse like this, kind of like Twist and Stewie, which I've talked, if you look up one of my videos, look up Twist mouse grip, and they have this forward hand position like this, and actually having all 5 of their fingers touching the mouse pad like this. So then, the same concept of if you have the same amount of grazing or pressure down, well, the mouse is balanced in your hand for the most part. So you can use this feel and this feedback, this kind of rubbing on the surface friction to help you move the mouse. And then if you need to stop the mouse really quick and break it and just do these little micro motions, you can use those fingertips into the mouse pad to do so. So yeah, give it a try. Go ahead and experiment with different amount of finger placements, how much of the finger is grazing, if it's just a little bit or if it's a little bit more on the heavy side, maybe it'll help you out. Thanks for watching, and give the video a thumbs up if it was helpful, and subscribe to stay up to date.